Welcome back to ET with DOTB. Chelsea are champions again and again and again and again and again and again. Let's get into it. I'm Rachel.
I'm Sophie.
And this is Extra Time with Girls on the Ball. Welcome back to this extra episode. Plenty to run through, of course. Lots of divisive and decisive things. Before we get going, though, please make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen or wherever you're watching your podcasts so you never miss an episode, especially ones like this that we drop suddenly and unexpectedly. Also, make sure you're following us across all of our socials. We're at Girls on the Ball on everything. Love to hear from you. What do you make of everything that's gone on this week so far? Any other topics, any players who've stood out for you? Always nice to hear your thoughts on the game. Well, they were 19 games unbeaten in the league, winners of the Subway Cup and our FA Cup finalists. But could they do it on a warm Wednesday in Lee? Yes, they could. A rather damp squib of an ending to the league, let's be real. But Arsenal, what are you doing? Like, you could have at least kept it interesting for another couple more games. This is the news that Chelsea have won the league for a sixth time in a row after beating Manchester United. Now, I made the mistake, and I'm saying this and she'll tell me not to, but I made the mistake of saying that they were winners of the Barclays WSL for a record 6 times, thinking people would be able to interpret the basic language that I had used. But no, some of you felt the need to point out that Arsenal hold the record for league titles, which we are, of course, fully aware of. Thank you. That's why I said Barclays WSL titles. Specifically. I needed to get that off my chest because it really got my back up. People love pointing out what they deem to be mistakes. And that's fine if they're mistakes. But if they're not, like, would you ever go and shite? Anyway.
That Rachel Ransom.
Done. I might bring it up again on our Instagram Live, you never know. But with their 1-0 win over Manchester United, thanks to a Lucy Bronze goal, the league winners have been decided with 2 games left to play. With United losing, it almost guarantees Champions League football next season for Arsenal. We'll make sure to tell them that when they get back from Lyon or Cloud9 or wherever they are, because they definitely weren't at Villa Park last night.
I mean, it's all but confirmed, isn't it? They need...
Yeah, but like...
Unless it's a 19-goal swing in Manchester City's favour, which there might be in the last 2 games of the season. Who knows? Arsenal could really implode. But unless that happens, Arsenal have Champions League football next season.
But given their performance yesterday, stranger things have happened. So I'm not going to say it's absolutely nailed on yet. The results are as follows. In the Barclays WSL, Aston Villa 5, Arsenal 2, Nobbs, Hansen, Grant with a brace, Daly, Blackstenius and Russo on the score sheet there. Manchester United 0, Chelsea 1, Lucy Bronze bagging the all-important goal there, although they could have done it with a draw. We're going to chat through these results, of course, Soph, but not reflect too much on the broader season because we have 2 more games to go.
And we've got probably reflection pods to come.
And reflection pods to come post-season. So we don't want to find ourselves repeating what we've said too much. But in this episode, we'll also have a couple of bonus bits for you to check out too. So first up, we sat down with Birmingham's Lucy Quinn ahead of the championship decider on Sunday, so you'll get to hear from her. And then Soph, you sat down with Charlie Wellings after Nottingham Forest won promotion to the championship as well, so you'll get to hear a little bit about their season and their celebrations as well.
You're going to show the video on that one?
Depends, it's up to you.
I apologise in advance because I just come in for a run and I was literally very concerned that there was like a piece of sweat dripping off my nose through the entire thing.
We had a really busy day yesterday and we had a window where we could go for a run that perhaps wasn't as quick as we hoped it would be. So it gave us
like 24 degrees outside. So it was very, very, very hot.
Yeah, so we both came back red-faced and sweaty.
I apologise in advance. But
we can focus on Charlie, it's fine. You can ask your question and then we'll just have you in the small little thing in the middle here that people can see.
Just put Charlie on the screen, yes. But yeah, okay. It was good.
You've been warned. Okay, let's get into it, shall we? Aston Villa versus Arsenal. Now, I'd said this pre-match. I'd said it could go either way, but I feel like Arsenal could easily fumble it and Chelsea could easily, not easily, but like could take their respective wins and losses and have the opposite effect.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely. I think it could have gone either way. I think maybe it was always going to be the case that one of the two dropped the ball and one of the two seized the ball. And it just so happened that it was Chelsea who seized the ball and Arsenal who dropped it. They were definitely still somewhere in Lyon, probably still celebrating on that pitch. I do think the changes didn't really help.
Oh, they're so disjointed.
7 changes, completely changing kind of. I know Katie McCabe and Steph Catley were still in the background, but changing the whole other side of the back line too. I think what I really saw was it missed Leah Williamson's distribution, and especially when you're playing Stina Blackstenius as a number 9, you need those long balls forward, and it changed in the second half of it when those long balls started to come forward. But yeah, when you're playing someone like Stina who does, run in behind and does thrive off those kind of, long passes, she's not the Alessia Russo who likes to get the ball to feet. They were really, really missing that in that first half. They were just kind of all over the place. The touch wasn't there. Katie McCabe, usually absolutely superb, had probably the game of her life against Lyon on Sunday. Just wasn't at the races. You could see that for the third goal. Was it when...
I don't know. All the goals are bloody brilliant.
Yeah,
guys.
no.
You should go and look at them.
The third goal when Chastity Grant got in behind and Katie was there and she just let the ball bounce and Grant just switched in and was just like, yeah, I'll take that. So I do think it was a question of that. I don't think it dictates their season. Yes, the title's over, but I would be very surprised if we see that again on Monday or the following Saturday.
Well, we shall see. I do think as well, when they went 2-0 down and went in at the break and they made changes, had they not conceded so early in the second half, I think it could have been a bit more interesting and exciting because the changes made a difference, and understandably they were exposed a bit having to go forward and chase goals, and they got 2 goals back. But had they not, if that had become the 3-2 game, a little bit more exciting. But because they'd already conceded, or no, a 2-2 game, it would have been a bit more exciting. Because they'd already conceded so early, it was like the changes made, the damage was done. And because a bit like, how we looked at Chelsea playing Barcelona, obviously not the same degree, but Chelsea had to come out and try and score goals, and you immediately leave yourself exposed. And Aston Villa's game plan was working perfectly. They were getting in behind every time. The first goal was one of, it superseded Tottenham's goal that Martha Thomas scored, that perfect counter-attacking goal. It was better than that.
It was really, really good because Arsenal had the corner. And actually, Arsenal could and probably should have scored the corner, but for a brilliant save from D'Angelo. And they had the shot blocked initially, and then there was that save. And then Aston Villa just went with it and ran.
They're so slow to react.
They basically were so high up the pitch that they didn't really think about, I don't think, Aston Villa's counter-attack. It was a bit naive in that moment because when you look at what Aston Villa have on the field, you have Grant, you have Ebony Salmon, Jordan Nobbs suddenly appearing in the box where she's not been a lot of the season because she's played more in that 6 role.
Was that her first goal of the season? I think it might have been. Because someone pointed out to us on Twitter or on Instagram, can't remember which, does that mean Jordan Nobbs has now scored in every single league season? Oh, so it makes me think maybe she hadn't scored this season.
I swear I remember another.
Could have been a different competition.
All merge into one at this point. It's May, and everything's gone a bit.
It's gonna be May. Yeah. So the Hansen as well. Hansen's goal was sublime. There was a real confidence actually, and it was really nice to see what Natalia Arroyo is trying to do with Aston Villa, because I don't feel like while they've been in this relegation battle, they've not been able to play how they want to play, and actually you're like, oh, okay. And granted, look, Arsenal were not at the races. They were all over the place a bit, but it was perfectly executed.
But also the Aston Villa set up perfectly. They put the 3 at the back. Arsenal's press was just not able to do anything really with them.
But the 3 at the back really struggled.
Kind of threw them at all, and it allowed Grant was playing right wing back, Pacheco the other side, and it allowed them so much space. And they just Arsenal didn't adjust to it quickly enough. And it just kept happening again. And as that first goal went in, Aston Villa suddenly got more and more confidence. So I think Arsenal started okay, but once that first goal went in, Aston Villa were like, oh, we can come and play here.
But also, Arsenal don't have the most amazing history with Aston Villa. There have been trip-ups before when they've played them. So that kind of is something for Aston Villa to go, well, actually, we know we can beat them. So that's another level of confidence they get. It kind of actually reminded me of the Lyon game in that you were like, Villa got their tactics spot on in the same way Arsenal did, and then Arsenal didn't turn up in the same way Lyon did. And when they did start to have a bit of a fight back, it was too late. So it's almost a flip the script.
Yeah, I just think that the mental side of Arsenal's game was still in Lyon. And I understand that. You reached a Champions League final for the first time in 18 years. The enjoyment, there is a whole psychological side of the game, and it could have applied to Chelsea later in the evening as well, where, you just can't, when you're expected to come back 72 hours later and perform, you never quite know which way it's going to flip. I thought for Aston Villa, it was really sweet because Natalia Arroyo was just living every single minute of the game. She was on her touchline literally the whole 90 minutes. She was jumping up and down for about 75 of them. Literally just like living every play, pointing, shouting, jumping. Whenever there was a chance, she had her hands and missed. There was her hands and her head in her hands. It was just, she was just very, very engaged with it.
Maybe by 4-2, she was maybe thinking, okay, actually, we've won this. It's fine.
Yeah, but it gives her freedom now. And I think it is about building, they're safe. It's been a rubbish season for Aston Villa. There is a lot of work to do over the summer. I think they've got something like 10 players out of contract or something. There is a bit of rebuild going on there. Natalia has to have the chance to build it in her image as well. I imagine a few will be resigned, but a few of those players aren't kind of her style of players. So she'll be busy in the market. I think it will be about trying to refresh quite an old squad as well. You don't want to get rid of experience completely, but you want to, bring in some youngsters and think about the future. And this has given her the perfect platform to start to think about doing that. Whereas when they were fighting against relegation, that kind of this tense kind of just trying to get it over the line problem.
I do find it interesting though how kind of damning kind of verdicts can be made about managers or clubs or players based on one result sometimes. And like it's interesting how willing people are to ignore context when it suits a narrative they want to push. Like Renee, see, told you she wasn't a good manager. Come on.
I mean,
there was players there that you probably have been relying on in recent games having stormers who just didn't turn up.
Yeah, you don't expect. I mean, I don't want to pick on any players, but you don't expect someone like Katie McCabe to have a night that like she did. And she wasn't by far the worst player on the pitch, but it was just an example of her not being quite at her level, and it allowed Aston Villa to capitalise. It's the same, although I would say the opposite for Mariana Caldente, who just doesn't stop running, and I don't know how she's still running.
Energizer Bunny.
She just keeps going, and she was the best player on the field for Arsenal. She was trying with all of her might to affect the play and impact. And for the first goal, she was the one who was back in central defence trying to make that tackle. As I saw her, I was like, why is she there? She was the one who'd made the sprint back to try and catch Ebony Salmon. I just don't know how she does it. She's a phenomenal player, and they need to protect her now over the last few weeks of the season.
Well, not an entirely damning result in terms of Champions League football, because I think we worked out that it's down to goal difference on, like, I think the best Manchester City can do points-wise is equal Arsenal.
19 goals won.
Yeah.
Like we said at the start.
So basically they'd have to win all the games, Arsenal would have to lose all the games, and then a 19 goal swing. So, again, I'm not going to absolutely say it's nailed on, but it's like Pritt sticked on. Do you know what I mean? It might have been nailed on, but it's like on the wall.
It's like
Pritt stick.
You've put up a picture and there's one corner that's just a little bit unsticky.
Just need a little bit of something to kind of anyway. So let's move on then to, with that being done and dusted, all Chelsea had to do was draw. So the Man United Chelsea game, and now I understand why that they kicked off at such random times, but actually quite appreciated it because I could watch it in the car on the way back. But I think Manchester United would be absolutely raging they didn't come away with 3 points from that, because I thought they were the better team on the day, created more chances. Chelsea they didn't know whether to go all out and try and get the win or to just try and hang on for the draw. They were very little bit nervous, tired, understandably, again, that emotional toll they had to deal with. And they did create chances, and Fallon Tullis-Joyce pulled off some good saves, but I do think
double save, wasn't there?
A triple save, I think. I think United fans will be annoyed that they didn't get all 3 points out of that, or even 1 point out of it. There's some controversy around whether Millie Bright, I don't want to say kicked, but as Elizabeth Turner went to get up, Millie Bright made herself known so that she couldn't get up, if you know what I mean, kind of came into the back of her. Now, some are saying she kicked her, and others are saying it was a nudge. But either way, it wasn't great because the ball had gone and she was in the box, and it looked like she'd kind of made movements to shove her back down to the ground, which wasn't
But the ball
ideal.
was up the field, so it wouldn't have been a penalty.
It's a free, though. You can't shove someone. It's a free kick. Anyway, listen, it was controversial, but I don't think it would have necessarily determined the game, because then if it was a draw, Chelsea still would have won. Super awkward for Chelsea, though, because all they had were like little cardboard flags or some sort of thing to wave around.
They're waiting because now they can go back to Stamford Bridge on the final day of the season in front of their home crowd, and that's where you get the picture perfect.
Yes,
trophy lift.
Hopefully.
So yeah, I do.
You say picture perfect. You never know with the way they set up these trophy lifts for photographers.
No, but like you want to be in your, surrounded by Blues fans. And I know some people are like, well, why didn't they lift the trophy last night? They're never gonna. If they've got the opportunity not to lift it away from home, they're never going to do that.
Yeah.
So,
especially you're not going to have as many fans travelling all the way up to Lee at 8:15 on a bleeding Wednesday.
Yeah, make it the last day of the season if you can. Go and have your party in front of your home crowd and enjoy it there.
I hadn't seen the press conference in terms of why the likes of Toon or Turlin didn't start, which is interesting. But I do think they looked dangerous when they did come on. But yeah, it's Manchester United have struggled over Chelsea, haven't they? They did get them in the FA Cup.
It's the third time that Chelsea have won the trophy playing Manchester United.
Do you know what?
Sorry, United fans.
But that's just so unnecessary, guys. Come on.
But it's also the first time in quite a while that we've had an end of the season decided 2 games. Yeah. It's the earliest time.
2019, 2020, I think, when Arsenal won it.
That was 1 game to go. So it's the earliest time that a season's been decided. So for all of the Chelsea dominance, and they have been dominant in terms of winning it, don't get me wrong, it has often gone down to the wire.
I have some stats if you'd like to hear. I thought this would be more interesting than maybe it was when I was thinking about exploring it, and then I explored it and I was like, okay. What I think is clear is that it was Chelsea's start that won them the league. And I think I've said this on maybe up front, that they allowed themselves a bad day or two at the office and knew that they'd potentially be going long into other tournaments, other competitions, so they'd have more games in the latter part of the season. Because 8 of the 17 games that they won were won by no more than a goal. 5 of those 8 games came in the second half of the season, as did 2 of their 3 draws. And 2 of their games that they won were with injury time goals, were in the second half of the season. Also, they scored 31 goals in the first half of the season and conceded 6. And in the second half, they only scored 23 goals and conceded 7. So they gave themselves that buffer and that flexibility. They were, 10 points ahead at one point?
Yeah, they had the ability to slip up a little bit against West Ham with that draw, or the Brighton draw, or the Leicester draw. But more so in that second half of the season with Brighton and West Ham, I think they had the ability they had that cushion. They had the comfort zone of being able to draw a game rather than win it.
And still they haven't lost. So look, we have talked about their performances on our pod. We've said regularly that we don't think they're necessarily 8-10 points better than the teams in and around them, but it's their ability to win games no matter how they do it.
What happened yesterday as well.
Exactly.
Mentality.
Didn't play brilliant.
You have a player like Lucy Bronze and she steps up in the moments and she scores you the goal, or
who's gotten an awful lot of hate from her own fans in the last few weeks.
Yeah, I don't really understand that, because I think she's been one of Chelsea's players of the season since she's come in. I know she didn't have a good 2 games against Barcelona, but I don't think actually anyone really had good games against Barcelona. But I think she has been one of the players of the season for Chelsea, and I think for her to step up and get that goal, that winner that wins them the trophy, probably pretty special for her.
Yeah. So they are champions. We're still waiting to absolutely nail on confirm Champions League for the last 2 spots.
Because United play City next.
And Arsenal play United.
And Arsenal play United on the final game of the season. And City play Palace on the final day of the season. So, and Arsenal have Brighton on Monday. So it's all to play for.
That 19-goal swing suddenly ain't looking so big, given Hammers put 7 past Crystal Palace.
But 19 goals is a lot.
2 games to do it.
Yeah, still a lot.
Well, if Arsenal start conceding 5 every game, you never know.
Well, but then they scored 2, so they're only -3 on that game. And then you have to rely on City to score, a lot more, which they haven't been doing quite yet.
Listen, Gerson Kasper has come up from defence and suddenly he's banging in the goals.
I'm just saying, don't get your hopes up.
I'm not hoping, I'm just saying.
That for a 19-goal swing, it's probably not going to happen. But I think a lot we'll know a lot more after that Manchester derby, because if they draw, I think
someone's going to move up or down.
If they draw, I think Arsenal are pretty much safe for second as well. So
we shall see. Still, I was going to say all to play for. Still something to play for.
Yeah,
we know who's relegated. We know who's won. Now there's the exciting thing of second and third. Woo!
She's really amping up the end of the league. I'm actually quite chill. I'm quite glad it's not going to that down to the final.
No, but it's such a damp on a Wednesday evening, and everyone 8:15 kickoff means all the newspapers have already pretty much done all their pieces. So there's no kind of opportunity to kind of have that wider kind of photos and all that kind of discussion. It just seems a bit like, oh yeah, by the way.
But I think on the final day, you get those pieces anyway. I do. And I mean, I was up very late on Tuesday night doing my player ratings for The Guardian for Chelsea. And now they've been published. So I'm glad about that.
I don't know why I needed to tell people that, because now they're going to go find them and then send you abuse.
No, they won't.
Sure. Let's move on to the championship, where things are still exciting until the final day. We have touched on this in our previous podcast. The championship all comes down to the final day between Birmingham and London City Lionesses, who face each other in St Andrews on Sunday. London City Lionesses are 2 points ahead of Birmingham. Am I right in saying that?
Yes.
42 and 40.
Yeah.
So only a win will do for the Blues. And before the game last night, we had the chance to sit down with Ireland and Birmingham forward Lucy Quinn to hear how preparations are going. Here's what she had to say.
Hey Lucy, great to be here at the training ground and ahead of a really big day on Sunday. How much are you looking forward to that game?
Yeah, really looking forward to it. When you got the fixture list at the start of the season, you kind of all said like, oh, I hope it comes down to that. So it's played out exactly how I'm sure a lot of the fans and players have wanted it to. So yeah, we're all really excited.
How were the nerves last weekend? Because your game finished and they had like 12 minutes of injury time added on. So must have been a bit nervous.
Yeah, no, it was. Obviously, you're waiting to hear on other results and that's not a position you ever really want to be on. But it was exciting. We were waiting and yeah, that's kind of why you play football, I guess, because yeah, it's just more fun to tell those stories when you've retired.
As you say, it's kind of the finale that we've all been kind of looking forward to this season. Kind of what the championship kind of deserves, because it is a pretty wild league.
Yeah, no, I think so. And I think there's been lots of attention on the championship this year and obviously loads of investment from both clubs like Birmingham and London City, but also from other clubs. And yeah, just to have a final day that really feels like a big occasion, I think is really good for the league.
And to be at St Andrews as well. It's going to be pretty special in front of your home crowd.
Yeah, no, hopefully. I mean, I'd rather it be playing at home in front of a big crowd and yeah, just a really nice way to end the season and hopefully it will go our way.
Sure, this is your second stint at the club. Obviously, things have changed a lot, I think, over the last year or so compared to what they were like before. How has that been as a player, having experienced both sides of it?
Yeah, it's wild, actually. I think, yeah, the change has been drastic, but obviously for the better. It's a kind of special situation, I think, to see that. It happens a lot in the women's game because of just how much the game has grown. But it's really good to see the investment and the care that's now going into the women's team. And yeah, hopefully that will continue throughout the leagues. But yeah, it's been amazing to be a part of and I wouldn't change it. I'm glad that I've experienced both and obviously, yeah, learned some lessons, but also had the career that I've had in terms of really grateful for where the game is at now.
I guess having gone through the stage of where there maybe were less resources available for you to build resilience in you as a player, do you feel that has really developed your character?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's set a lot of us up in the squad for, you know, just being grateful. Not that we should be overly grateful because the women's game does deserve the same investment as the men's. But yeah, being a Birmingham player is having that underdog mentality and always having a point to prove. And yeah, I think that's probably added to how resilient the squad are because you've seen how far it's come and how hard that we've had to work to get here.
For sure. How has life under Amy Merrick's been? Because, a young coach, developing herself as well as trying to develop all of you as players and develop the team. So what has that been like? Yeah,
no, it's been really good. Obviously, she's very young, but she's been in the game for a long, long time. And yeah, you can see that she's very experienced as a coach. She works tirelessly every day and her standards are always high. And I really appreciate and respect that. It's exactly how I want a manager to be. And it's what she expects from us also. So yeah, I think, she's still learning, but she's obviously got us to the final day in a great position. And yeah, the team has really grown throughout the season, I think. And that's credit to all the staff and the work that they've put in.
And I guess maybe a bit further behind the scenes, but you've got Hope Powell as well, who's a legend in the English game. We all know what she's done for women's football. And that must be really helpful for you as players as well.
Yeah, massively. And when we saw the appointment, that was probably one of the first realization moments of, okay, the club is really taking the women's side seriously because that's not an appointment you make unless you want some stuff to get done. So yeah, we really respect how Hope is, how driven she is, and her journey through football is obviously she's learned so much. So to even just be seeing little snippets of that here and there, then yeah, it's been really good to have her on board.
As you alluded to earlier, there's been a few of you who have been here for a while and seen this journey. Do you talk together about how much, kind of Sunday means?
Yeah, massive. Yeah, all the time. Like, we love to tell the stories of the olden days, like we're, 80 years old and sat on a porch somewhere. But yeah, like the new players that come in love to hear the stories, and we love to stress how lucky we are. So, if something's not gone quite right, like we like to, remind girls that, look, this is unbelievable, the position that we're in and the resources that we have access to. But yeah, it's really nice. We're obviously really close friends. So to come through the journey and see the club now, it's really nice to reflect on, but also we're not done yet, hopefully.
When you look at your opponents as well in London City, you beat them in November, I think, or December, just before the winter break. Does that help? What were the lessons learned that day, I guess, to help set you up for Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, it's always, anything can happen in a game of football, as we know. That's why we love the game. But we went there. It's a tough place to go against a really good team. And we put on a really good team performance and obviously came away with the win. And we'd be silly not to reflect on how we did that and what went well in the game, but also what didn't go so well, and to try and improve on that. So, yeah, it's always good, but we only did it once and we've got to do it twice. So that's how we're looking at it.
Sure. I can't not ask you about Lucy Quinn, because we got the news obviously yesterday about her retirement. It broke both of our hearts, I have to say. But for you, what has been being her teammate and her kind of colleague been like?
I mean, as a player, I knew of Louise. She was always in the women's game, obviously, absolute legend, like Arsenal days. And when she signed for Blues, I was really excited because I knew what she could deliver as a player, and I knew that I would learn a lot from her. And then also getting called into the Island squad, you can obviously see what she is capable of, but also her leadership and, just her passion for playing for her country. But as a person, I think she's just blown everybody away. If you're close with Louise, then you know how special she is. And we've obviously become really close and very good friends. And I was absolutely gutted, but obviously really excited for her. And just very lucky that we get to do it hopefully one more time on Sunday together, and wish her all the best. But she's definitely left a footprint at the club and with all the players that she's played with.
What's going to happen to your little trio now? Big Quinn, Little Quinn, Jamie Quinn.
I did say to Lou, like, I'm not trying to make this about me, but I can't be Little Quinn without Big Quinn. So I'm not really sure where I go from here. But obviously the three of us, or all the Irish girls, are close, but we're going to have to just think of some new songs and try and make her proud, I guess.
I guess that, not that you need any more motivation on Sunday, but I guess the fact that it will be her final showdown, her final game, is something special, and I guess something that the team will want to send it off with.
Yeah, everybody, whether they've played with Lou for 10 years or since January, everybody absolutely adores her. So we obviously want to win the league, but to be able to do it with Lou retiring as well would be extra special. And I really hope that we can do that for her.
And finally, for you as a person, to, if it is to happen on Sunday, you are to get that promotion and to head back up to the Barclays WSL, what would that mean?
Yeah, for me, it'd be really special just being part of that squad that was relegated when we didn't necessarily have the resources or support from the club that we wanted. It's a massive club. It's a historical women's team. And to get us back to the WSL where we belong, will be one of the proudest moments of my career. And I'd love to get it over the line.
Oh, brilliant. And best of luck. And I can't wait for Sunday.
Thank you very much.
Okay, think they'll do it?
It's going to be a big
Come on, you picked them at the beginning.
I'm sitting on the fence at the moment. Yes, I did pick them to go up at the beginning of the season. And I'll
try to change it as well a couple of weeks
ago. I know,
ago.
I will stick with it. I do think having that home crowd will help. I think they do know what they have to go out and do. And that's not to say it's going to be easy, because London City have proved to be a very, very good team this year. But they've got a lot of experience in there. When you look at Lucy Quinn, when you look at Lucy Quinn, who's her final game. When you look at Christy Harrison-Murray, all of those players, Emily Van Egmond as well in the midfield, they've got a lot of experience to get themselves over the line. And as do,
I was going to say, Sophie
London City, but it's not like they just, haven't had experiences to try and win big games like this. So.
Well, we shall see. You'll be there.
Yeah.
It'll be an exciting one, that's for sure. You also had the opportunity to sit down with Nottingham Forest's Charlie Wellings after their promotion to the Championship alongside Ipswich Town. As we said, very sweaty interview, poor Sophie. But it was good to chat to her and find out how they're all feeling, knowing that they're going up next season.
Congratulations on winning the league. You must be very, very happy right now. How have the celebrations been?
Yeah, buzzing. I mean, we all celebrated on Sunday and then it went on into Monday as well. But no, the group's always been a very together group all year. So it's just nice to actually celebrate the whole year.
For sure. And kind of what do you think has been the key to your success this year? I know it went down to the final day, but you were pretty much in control throughout.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the togetherness, to be honest. I think it's very easy to be happy when you're winning, but off the pitch, we all bonded a lot throughout the year and we'd go and do different things off our own backs together. So, yeah, I think the togetherness within the group this year was probably the reason that why we went unbeaten the whole season as well, because when things aren't going your way, it's easy to turn on each other and get on each other's backs. But we don't have that in any of our players. So, no, it's always a very happy feeling on the pitch.
Yeah, no, it seems that way. You joined the club obviously last summer. And kind of what was it about the club that kind of enticed you to put pen to paper?
I think the ambition, really, just it shone straight through from when we spoke to Amber and Carly. It was, we want to be a club that eventually ends up in the WSL. We have ambitions and we want you on board. So I think when someone's offering the things that Nottingham Forest offer to players, I think it becomes a bit of a no-brainer. Like, obviously people see stuff like going down a tier as a step down, but for me it was probably a step up more than anything, because we knew the ambition to get straight into the Championship this year, which we obviously achieved. And then going forward, I think it's one of them that we have things that other clubs maybe can't offer. So no, it was an easy choice for me.
And you kind of hit the ground running, 17 league goals this season. What do you think has been the key, I guess, behind you settling in so quickly?
Just the girls as well. Like, when you have a group of players that push each other every day and the competition's as high as it can be, but it's just everything's in a nice way. But if you're playing over someone, there's no like horribleness about it. It's all very positive and we push each other to be the best that we can be every day, and the standards are always at top notch as well. So yeah, I think it's easy to shine through them.
And I mean, you've been at a couple of clubs now. Do you feel like you developed even more as a player this season, and how?
Yeah, 100%. I think last year was a disappointing one for me because I was injured for a lot of the year at Reading. And then, yeah, I just think coming in, the standards that we drive day in, day out, and the technical detail and everything that the staff do behind the scenes as well to make us improve as players is top notch. And there's nothing that they won't do for you. So I think it's always easy to improve in an environment like this.
And I guess playing under Carly as well, what have you learned from her as a manager?
Everything's very specific and she expects very high standards, but I like that as a player. You don't want to be dropping off and getting away with it. There's always people on your toes wanting to have your shirt at the end of the day. So no, I think it's important that you have a manager that she knows when to have a bit of a laugh and can have a little bit of a joke, but also knows when we need the seriousness and we need to get the details in. And yeah, the technical detail that we get for the games is top notch. So yeah, can't complain.
And I guess she obviously is quite early on in her career as a manager as well. So I guess she's learning a lot from this group of players. Do you see her developing her that she's developed over the season as well as a manager?
Yeah, I think to be honest, from the first day that I'll come in, she's not really changed. I think she was always at a very high standard. So for us, we knew what we needed to do and what we expected of her as well. So I think it's just important that everyone keeps moving forward as a team as well, because there's a lot of things that we learn from her as well. So I think it just comes in that as we are as a group that I've mentioned, it just helps everyone.
For sure. I guess some time off now over for the summer break, I guess. But I guess your eyes will be firmly focused on the Championship now. How much are you looking forward to playing back in the Championship?
Yeah, obviously that was our aim from day one. We came in and set our goals for the year, and that was the one at the top of the tree was the getting back into the championship. So yeah, I think it's going to be an important year. I think there needs to be a lot of improvements and stuff going into it, as it's a demanding league and it's a hard league, and we've been prepping for that all this season as well with our physical demands, trying to get them as high as possible to ready to make that jump. And we've obviously played a few championship teams in pre-season to get ready for that last year, and throughout the year playing Newcastle and stuff. So I think we're ready as a group, and we know what we need to do to survive in that league as well and thrive in that league. So yeah, we're ready for that as well.
And from your experiences of playing in that league, we all know it's a bit of a wild adventure. There's, you can never really predict what's going to happen. What were your biggest learnings from your time?
I think I had a bit of a different experience being in a club that weren't obviously ambitious at all and stuff. So we had a really tough season, but I think it shined through that you need every single player, because anything can happen at any time in squads, and you need the big squad to get you through a league as well. So I think it's just physically very demanding, and you need a squad that's going to back each other every step of the way as well.
I guess there is a lot of experience in the squad as well. When you look at like the likes of Kate Longhurst as well, or Mel Johnson, that's going to be really super important going into that new phase of Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, it's going to be massive. I think you need players that have the experience as well to maybe help the other players get through it as well. But I think everyone has the mindset of what we need to do to win as well. So I think it's just a matter of taking every game as it comes again, the same as we've done this year, and just trying to get as high up as we can in that table as well.
I think Carly said in an interview yesterday maybe that definitely wanted to kind of hit the ground running and, make it count in the championship. And I guess the resources that the club do give you are really important for you as players, but also, I guess, mentality-wise, when you look elsewhere, there isn't always that afforded to women's teams. So how have you found that as a player to have that kind of support behind you, to know that those ambitions are there?
Yeah, it's massive. I think when you're fighting on the pitch every single game, you want to be fighting for a club that is going to back you all the way as well and want the same achievements that you want. Obviously, there's other clubs in tougher situations that aren't getting the support like we are, but it's shown all the way through from the top that they want us to be in the best place that we can be in, and they push us every single day to be in that. They give us all the facilities we need. Playing at the City Ground week in, week out is unbelievable, and not a lot of teams have that in the Championship. So yeah, it's an amazing place to be at the minute. We've trained at the training ground, everything. We can't really ask for much more. So it's a really good place to be at the minute.
And finally, just going back to maybe looking forward to the next season and how you kind of prepare as a player. It's maybe a bit welcome that you got time off, but maybe you just want to just keep going at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, the body don't want to keep going at the minute. The body needs the rest. But yeah, definitely just have a couple of weeks to settle, and then we've been given our off-season programs, as you do, straight away before you've even had your rest. So yeah, we crack straight back on with the running and all the horrible pre-season work in no time, just to be ready for the Championship and hit the floor running. Yeah.
It's the stuff all you players love, right?
Yeah, the dreaded meeting of the off-season programme. But yeah, no, it's fine. James has been nice, so it's fine.
Well, that's good. Thank you so much, and congratulations again, and best of luck for the next season. I can't wait to see how you get on.
Lovely, thank you.
It didn't look that bad. We can filter it. We can tame it down a bit.
Take some red out of my face.
Yeah. And of course, as you touched on a little bit earlier, Louise Quinn retiring, absolutely gutted. Very important player for Ireland. She's been massively missed during her injury. I'm delighted she's had time to be able to get back in time for the end of the season. Recently became a mum as well. So lots of exciting things in the future for Lou, I'm sure. I just hope she stays in the game.
Yeah, I think she'd make a great coach if she chose to do that. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, there's been some lovely words from people all around the game about Lou. So Lucy said it herself in that piece we put up. So she's definitely made an impact. I'm wishing her all the best. Okay, last thing I want to touch on, which is less positive and really quite disappointing, is that the FA have now come out and confirm that they will be banning transgender people from taking part in football. I think many places, including the government, have used the court's ruling as an easy, lazy way to blame someone else for the decision and therefore make a decision for themselves without actually.
So I think they have taken it on legal advice. That's what they've said. And it is very specific to mention trans women.
Oh yeah, trans men don't exist because that doesn't suit the narrative.
But it's heartbreaking and very, very disappointing. And the FA's tagline is the FA for all, and this doesn't exactly scream that you're for all. And I think I put it on social media earlier, like sport has the massive power of breaking down barriers and providing spaces for people to be active, enjoy, find a community, find a social life. And it's not all about elite level, it's all about the grassroots, really. And it's about having that access. And it really, really infuriates me that we seem to always come from a point of exclusion. It should be about including people and figuring out the details around it to make it, accessible rather than othering people, I think. And I think what makes me even sadder is that women's football has been, well, not even sadder, as sad. Women's football has always been a space where queer people can exist and have felt safe. And, well, not just queer people of all identities or ethnicities, races, sexual orientation. And it's worked very hard before anyone was even interested in the sport, to be that space where people could be themselves and to come and watch football and partake in football and be themselves. And other people now are coming in to dictate.
The big voices aren't even involved in sport.
Yeah, to dictate what happens, and it's just utterly heartbreaking. And there's this massive shift to try and other a community of people who
a small minority of
but
people.
Also a community of people who need the most support and the most, I can only imagine I can't imagine what it's like to be a trans person, especially in this climate, and my heart just breaks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember we were at a summit in Australia at the World Cup, which Billie Jean King was at, and that question either came up or I think she maybe brought it up herself, and it was her who said, it's a complex situation with lots of, research needs to go into it, etc. But all I know is I want to be coming from a place of inclusion rather than a place of exclusion. And why we would ever start at a place of exclusion first is something she couldn't wrap her head around. And that stuck with me, because I don't have all the answers, but all I know is that football should be for all. And as you say, it's not just about elite level. We're starting to see now that even people who aren't even looking feminine enough are now being attacked. Like, that's the road we're going down. So yeah, it's a scary time. And thoughts are with those it is affecting, because I can only imagine what you're going through. A rather sad end to the podcast. We'll see how this breaks over the coming days. We will be back again early next week with another podcast. We'll be going live on Instagram as well on Saturday. So if you want to join us there, please do. And yeah, enjoy the footy this week. We'll chat to you very soon.